Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the SoulFire podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Goerke. We're going to talk about all kinds of topics, all centrally focused on inspiring and empowering women, insights, tips, and tools for living life to its fullest. This is going to be a mix of solo chats and weekly interviews with women who are living life their way, whatever that may be, so that you can envision what's possible for you. I Am Inspiring Women is going to be a subsect of Soulfire podcast. Not sure if anybody's ever done that, but this is going to be two podcasts in one, so hope you enjoy. We'll talk about the ways to have an attitude that will get you through anything and what you can do to reconnect with your inner child and better manage those reactive emotions. We will discuss how to work through those limiting beliefs and what it takes to be a light in the world. This is a place to discover how other women are thriving in their chosen profession, whether it's an artist, a business owner, an entrepreneur, stay-at-home mom. Will discuss the real and honest truth about what being a woman means to us. These women talk about challenges and successes, how they deal with the ups and downs of life. These are real women who are sharing their stories so that you'll be encouraged to live your best life. Inspiration, motivation, and transformation. Let's encourage each other. Let's lift each other up. Let's learn and expand our possibilities in this world. Let's share with each other what being a woman means to us. Life is an adventure, and being a woman right now is the biggest adventure of all. In the last episode, we talked about centering. We talked about creating a space for you to help calm yourself down, to ground yourself, a physical space, a sacred space, an altar, and also an imaginary space. Imagining a house in the mountains, or beach, or playing with the kids, or some imaginary scene that could help you bring you back to center. Today, I want to talk to you about stillness, meaning taking that sacred space, physical or imaginary, and using that to quiet yourself, to allow yourself to shut out the craziness that's going on around outside you, not allowing it to affect you. Are you taking the time to use that space that you've created? It's called a meditation practice because you practice. That doesn't mean that every single time it's going to be perfect. Even if you're only meditating and using that sacred space for the centering and quieting your mind as much as possible, you're never going to completely silence the voices and the noise in your head. It's just not going to happen. But you can start paying attention to the space in between, the stillness in between the things that you say and the things that you're thinking and the things that you have to do and everything that's going on in your head. So that stillness is what you want to focus on when you're meditating. Whenever you're practicing your meditation, whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, 20 minutes. It's not always easy because you've got so many things that you're thinking about. You're thinking about the chores that you've got to get done, or the list of groceries that you have to buy, or homework that you have to do with the kids, or the report that's due for work, or, all the millions of things that you've got to do for your business, whatever it may be. Taking just a couple minutes and sitting in silence, sitting in the stillness, paying attention to that nothingness in between all of the things that are going on with you, that's the stillness you need to focus on. A great way to imagine this stillness is to close your eyes and imagine a bright blue sky. The blue sky is what you want to focus on, and any thought that comes into your mind is a white fluffy cloud. So initially, you're going to have a lot of white fluffy clouds, a lot of, thoughts that are bouncing around in your head, be those, chores or grocery lists, homework, stuff for the kids, stuff for work, stuff for your job, whatever, stuff for your business. All of these little clouds are going to be all over the place. And so you're going to struggle to see the blue sky behind all of the clouds. You're going to see a couple patches here and there. But as you start focusing on the blue sky, the white clouds will start to dissipate. And the more you focus on that, yes, you're going to have the occasional, thunder cloud that comes in, and, another little white fluffy cloud comes in and takes over. The more you practice, the easier it's going to be for you to imagine the entire blue sky. And then you'll still have the occasional white cloud that comes floating by, and that's all it will do. It'll just float on by. It'll come into your awareness. Oh, I've got to feed the dog, this little white fluffy cloud. And then it'll just keep passing on through because what you're doing is focusing on the blue sky. You're not so focused on the white cloud. And the more that you do this, the more that you practice, after all, meditation is called a meditation practice for a reason. So keep practicing the blue sky. Keep imagining, the little clouds coming in and drifting on by. And don't beat yourself up if you don't get it perfect and you end up with a thunderstorm and things get all crazy and you can't clear the sky. Next time, it'll get easier. And the time after that, it'll get easier still. There are going to be times when it's not that easy. There are going to be times when you struggle and you get frustrated because you're sitting there for 15, 20 minutes and you feel like you haven't accomplished anything. The stillness is the objective, but you're not always going to get that. You're not always going to have calm, quiet nothingness. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have insanity. You're going to have interruptions. You're going to have thunderstorms rolling in. You're going to have tons of clouds and no blue sky. But that doesn't mean that it's not working. It doesn't mean that you're not accomplishing the calmness that you need. If you remember to be kind to yourself, if you remember that regardless of how much it seems that you're not getting done when it comes to calming your mind, that you actually are calming your mind. So realizing that, you can do this technique or you can use a different technique of whatever it is that you need to create that stillness, using your sanctuaries, using the imaginary sanctuary that you created in the last episode, or your physical sanctuary, and just sitting and meditating quietly and thinking about what it is that you want to intend. What is it that you want to, pay attention to in your world? There's a saying that praying is you talking to God, to the universe, whatever, one source, whatever it is that you want to call it. And meditation is you listening. And if your mind is busy running through all the things that you have to do in the day, you're not listening. You're not paying attention. You're not taking the time to get into the stillness and actually listen to what the universe is trying to tell you. It takes work. It takes work whether you're listening actively to someone who's actually talking to you or if you're actively trying to meditate to listen to what the universe is trying to tell you. Listening to the people around you is a great practice. If you take active listening, meaning you shut your mouth and you take in what the people are saying, it's the same thing as you listening to universe, listening to God or source or whatever it is that you want to call it. Being in stillness and not interrupting and not shutting people down and giving them your opinion and telling them what you're thinking and whatever it is that's on your mind and not letting them say their piece is the same thing as you praying all the time, praying, and never taking the time to listen. Never taking the time to pay attention to what the universe is how the universe is trying to respond to you. If you're having trouble getting yourself into a place of stillness because there's too much going on in your mind, then take some time to write that stuff out of your head. Take some time to make a list of the things that you need to get done for the day, or make a list of the groceries that you have, or, make an audio recording of the story you have in your mind or the thoughts that are running through your head. Clear your head. Get all the clutter in your head out. So whether you're writing it, whether you're dictating it, however it is that you need to clear your head, do it. Once you clear your head of all the things that you have to do or the things that you feel that you need to do, you create space and the opportunity to be able to listen to the universe. You can't very well have a clean house if it's cluttered. you can't very well have things organized if there's stuff thrown all over the place. So you've got to consider the same thing with your mind. If you can clear your mind of all the clutter, all the things that you need to do, and create an empty space, a stillness for universe to come in and be able to communicate with you, you will be a lot more open to the messages coming through. So sit down, use your space, meditate, start with, 2 to 5 minutes and work your way up to 15 to 20 minutes if you can. But throughout the day, as you're asking universe for all of these things and you're asking the source for all of these things, you're asking for whatever it may be in your life, you also need to take time to sit down and pay attention and listen. And listening is being in that stillness. Listening is you meditating and taking some time to pay attention to the messages that are coming through. So it's not always easy, like I said, when you first start out, but as you practice, as you take the time to do this a few minutes each day, do it before you get out of bed in the morning. Do it just before you go to sleep. That way you're spending two times a day, like brushing your teeth. Once in the morning, once at night, you're practicing, you're listening for the messages that you get from spirit, the messages you get from source. And the more you practice, the better you'll get, the more aware you will get, the more you will see synchronicities and coincidences, answers to what you're asking for. If you're not making the time to be in the stillness, if you're not making the time to clear space, if you're not making the time to listen, then those messages are not going to be able to get through. So pay attention to the stillness. Try and gain a little more stillness in your life. Practice, watch for the blue sky, let the clouds drift on by, listen, and allow yourself some breathing room and allow yourself to be able to pay attention to what source is trying to tell you. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and we'll talk to you later. See you in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.